Hello, everyone, and welcome to our year-end special of Binkhorsts and Blockbusters. This is a movie and television show podcast. I'm Garrett,
And I'm Kate.
and the end of this year, we're going to look back at all the movies we watched and talked about, and we're going to rank them in a non-complicated way. So
Yeah, we watched a lot of great movies this year, and I enjoyed quite a few of them, but there were some that I liked more than others. So let's get to it.
definitely. So what you see before you is a standard tier list. So this is a way of categorizing stuff into different tiers. Um, I like this method a lot more than numbers and a lot more than stars. So basically anything that is at the top of our list is going to be considered like a great, an excellent film, wonderful, and then anything that's at the bottom is garbage. We won't be comparing them between each other in the tiers, but simply as a whole. Um, so the first film we reviewed was Reservoir Dogs.
It was. Yeah,
Reservoir,
and I have fond memories.
yeah, it's an excellent movie. It was a good conversation. I remember thinking a lot about what I was going to say.
Yeah, great poster too. Really love this one. Now, so my opinion of this one, when we watched it the first time, I was very impressed with how well it's held up. It has a lot of the Caitlin requirements for a great movie, such as minimal sets, really tight plot, mystery and intrigue, great dialogue writing. But I'm not sure it's an S tier movie because I know that I do think that there are some other Tarantino movies that are better than it. So,
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Tarantino gets a lot better as he goes on, and I think this is like a good sign of things to come. Um, it is smaller in scope. It's smaller in scale, which doesn't make it any worse or not great. Um, but there are parts of it that I gloss over.
hmm yeah. But I mean, it is very good. I solid A for me
I'm
for
I'm
Reservoir
gonna I'm gonna
Dogs.
also agree with A. So I'll size it down, put it smack dab in A category.
Okay.
Okay. I think the next film we watched was Burn After Reading.
Yeah.
Okay, Burn After Reading.
There we go.
Okay. Again, this is another one of those like, it's from the Coen brothers, who we know go on to make, or even before this, made like really fantastic films. This one's good. Where do we compare it to Reservoir Dogs?
I actually think it's the same level. I think that the dialogue, the humor, the plot, it's not as tight as far as set design goes.
It does have the sex chair though.
It does have the sex chair, and that is a point in its favor for sure. Um, Maybe not great for a family-oriented podcast. Um, but and family oriented in the way that the two of us are related. There, nothing that we
Right,
say on here
right,
is
right,
family friendly.
right. Yeah.
But
No, I have to
yeah,
click a little thing whenever I upload a video that says not made for children.
yes, no, this is not made for children at all, and neither is that movie. And you know, yeah, I think it's an A tier for me.
Okay. Okay. You've pushed me. I was thinking B tier, but A tier, I'd say it is on par with Reservoir Dogs.
I mean, having Brad Pitt's performance, like Brad Pitt's, I think that like if you take the performances of the actors
That's
individually,
true.
every single one of them is just 5 stars, and you put them all together, and it is a very good movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You've definitely swayed me into putting Burn After Reading as a uh oh no. Oh, I ooh, ooh, okay. I understand now. Control Z undoes what I've done, not what you've done. Make
Oh,
these
oh,
all
okay.
the right size. Uh, okay. Can you bring in? I think we did Independence Day next.
Yes.
Okay.
Independence Day coming up.
So
Wow, teamwork is happening, guys. Teamwork is happening.
so th this one classically we did not actually watch it to talk about it because we've seen it a million times. Um, we did it more as a topical thing than as a movie that's like very good.
But it is a good movie, and it does have a lot of great scenes. It's very nostalgic, it's very actiony, it's very fun. The plot is tight. The effects are great for the year it
Oh
came
yeah,
out.
yeah. The blowing up a miniature of the White House was
Oh yeah, the
incredible.
miniatures. It has miniature
Yeah, it
points. Points
does.
for miniatures.
Jeff
Um,
Goldblum, Will Smith did
mhm.
pretty good work. Uh, I'm saying this is a solid C tier film.
Oh, C tier. Wow.
Yes.
Okay. But the miniatures,
It,
Garrett.
but there's not a lot of like real like artisticness or like a message
But
or like
the miniatures, Garrett.
it does have cool miniatures. It
And
does have
the aliens were
uh,
very artistic and unique.
yeah, that is true. That is true. It does get points for that. I'm not going above a B tier for this one, Kate.
No, no, I'm not arguing for over a B tier.
Okay.
I'm arguing for a solid B. Like I would give it a
Okay.
B.
Okay. I'll let you have this one. Independence Day, solid B tier film. Uh,
Okay, let me see if I can minimize it. No? Uh,
okay.
there we
Oh,
go. There you
okay.
go. And
Nice.
then you can
Okay.
put it in the right spot.
Okay. And then I think did we talk about Titanic next?
Yes, Titanic
Okay.
is next. And I mean, you're gonna have a hard time arguing with me on this one.
So I think you're gonna put this in S tier. I think in your mind this is an S tier film.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Being that this
Yeah,
was like the first time I saw it, and I had so many like preconceived ideas of what the film Titanic was. And then I saw it and realized, oh, the first VHS is the romance movie. And then it turns into one of the most horrifying movies that exists, where death is around every corner and characters on set got like pneumonia and poisoned with PCP. Like it's a crazy movie, a crazy experience made by insane nerds who stamp the back of plates to make them as accurate as possible.
yeah,
It
and I
it
think that's what really takes it into S tier for me is the attention to detail of historical accuracy in this film. I'm not sure like it's ever been reached since. I don't think that it's possible for any other films since then to get close to this level of historical accuracy.
yeah, it's for that reason it is so like artistic and like a high form of art of like every bit of it was immersive and true to the time and then later true to what they were actually doing. They went down there. They went in the submarine, which is horrifying. Like this
Mhm.
this one does deserve S tier.
Yeah. Well, and it's also a film that in our discussions of this film, we also like discussed things that I hadn't thought about. And those themes of female agency and willpower and, suicide, those things really elevate like the plot. It's not just a romance novel, it's about a woman
Right.
figuring out what to do with her life and going through incredible trauma and, you know, rescuing herself with the assistance of a manic pixie dream boy. And it all works out. And it is a great movie, and it's S tier for me for sure.
Okay. Well, let's slap it up there.
Okay.
I will put it in S tier if you get the you get
Oh,
the next film we talked about.
okay. Next up is some amount of thousands of years of longing.
3,000, I think. Three big ones.
Yeah, 3,000 years of longing. There we go. Um, I like this movie. It was a good movie. Meh.
That's how I feel. Like I enjoyed it. I didn't think it had a lot to really say, but it was very artistic. It was a fun little adventure. I don't think it's one that I would come back to. It was a very like middle of the road kind of experience.
Yeah, I think it did have some stuff to say. I think it did it well enough. I think that the audience for it was way more me than you. Um, and I think that maybe that's why I liked the messaging a little more. But at the same time, yeah, it wasn't groundbreaking. It had great special effects, it had great story, it had great, you know, I like the message, but at the same time, I'm sure you're sitting there thinking to yourself right now, what was the message? I don't recall it at all. And that's the problem with this movie.
It's not very memorable.
Hmm. Yeah, so I'm thinking C tier.
Yeah, I would say that that is fair.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so next up is everybody's favorite shark movie.
Jaws.
Really the only shark movie that you should watch.
I watched the Meg 2 this year,
Yeah.
and like Jason Statham is on a jet ski and kills a shark with a helicopter blade.
Oh, that's I'm sorry. I just listened to a podcast about the Twilight Zone movies, so I can't deal with that.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
I'm too traumatized.
Okay. He also somehow survives at like the deepest depths of the ocean by just like breathing out his nose.
Oh yeah, 'cause that works.
Yeah, yeah, it's not like you wouldn't be crushed by the weight of, you know,
Yeah.
water or anything. Um,
Yeah.
so I
Anyway,
think
we didn't review that movie, so
no, so I think one of the things that makes Jaws hold up so well is this idea that we've talked about a number of times of like imagining the horror of what you're seeing is far more scary than them showing it. And the amount of
Mhm.
times that that was used in this film and the like slow burn of like waiting to really see the shark and how we talked about that and
Mhm.
like this idea of there's this monster that's lurking and like there's such a well to us it's a simple moral quandary of like what the hell do we do with it. um it's a scary story and it's one
Mhm.
that's done well. The production was a nightmare, which was fun to learn about, but
Mhm.
this is what launched, Steven Spielberg to be able to do everything that he's done,
Mhm. Including the Twilight Zone movie.
including producing the Twilight Zone movie. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah, so I would be on the fence between S tier and A tier for this. It really is that good of a movie. Um,
I think in a similar way to how what we said about Reservoir Dogs of like this was a taste of what was to come from Steven Spielberg.
yeah, but I what's a movie that you like by Steven Spielberg more than this one?
Indiana Jones.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, see, that's the
Uh,
problem with that argument. I can name every Tarantino movie. I can't name every Spielberg movie. And a lot
I
of
can't
that,
remember any right now. You put me on the spot.
well, no, I think that that is because Spielberg movies are not made for us. They're made for like movie-going populaces.
Okay,
Whereas we are different. We're
I
just
think
built different.
yeah, I think Jurassic Park is better, but for different reasons.
Yeah,
Um,
Jurassic Park is very good.
Schindler's List is probably better, which is
Oh,
bad
that's true. Yeah.
that didn't come to mind. But
No, it didn't at all. It
E.T.
didn't.
did, but I don't like E.T. as much as I
Yeah, I
like
don't like
Jaws
E.T.
right now.
Actually, E.T. specifically came to mind as a movie that I don't like. But anyway,
Oh,
we're not.
Saving Private Ryan.
Oh,
That'll come
well,
up later.
wow. Yeah, I mean, I guess we have to go A tier here, but I mean, it is very, very good. It has politics, it has limited set, it has a limited cast, it has great acting, it has great dialogue, it has great special effects. That shark is, it does have some moments where the shark is, you're like, oh, okay. But like still, very scary, horror movie-esque. The music, phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah, that's another part that elevates it is that theme.
Yeah, so what are we doing with it, Garrett?
I'm good with A tier.
Okay, okay. It's been relegated to A tier. So next up, we have our Oppenheimer.
So I doubt at any point are we going to like remake or rehost the Oscars or anything like that. But I think this is, obviously in the running for Best Picture, and I think it has an amazing chance. Um, the visuals, the sound, the performances, uh, the the just whole story of Oppenheimer is fantastic. Other than the fact that it was a bit too long.
Well, it was a bit too long. The one female character had okay, both female characters had strong personal issues, including mental health and addiction, and manic pixie dream girl problems. So, and as opposed to manic pixie dream boy positives of Titanic, there were problems in Oppenheimer.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
I can't S tier this one. I can't.
Okay. Okay. It,
Specifically because of the sex scene and the quote, I can't. I loved it too. I really liked this movie, but I do think that in retrospect, and this is something that I think is very intriguing and I've thought about, is that the rush of endorphins and excitement of going to the theater, I think sometimes makes movies like this one feel better than they actually are.
huh. Yeah, yeah, okay. I could feel that because there was a vibe. There was an
Yeah, there was such a
energy
vibe and energy.
like it was like we're going back to the theater to see a movie that needs to be seen on the big screen.
Right.
And this one was that.
Hmm.
Um and this isn't even the only Christopher Nolan we have on the list. Um, but this was like, a big director doing a big like return to form type thing. Um, yeah, there are a bunch of little problems with this
Hmm.
that I do think keeps it out of being an S tier movie.
Yeah. But it's still a great movie, and if you haven't seen it, you should go see it. Just keep in mind that maybe the writing of the female characters is not great, but you know, it's a man's movie.
Yeah, this is definitely a movie to watch with the dudes.
But I will say the sound is amazing. The sets are amazing. The costuming is phenomenal. The acting is top notch. Um, so it does have a lot of things going for it. I'm not going to argue it out of A tier,
Oh
but
no,
not
no,
S tier for me.
I,
Okay.
I don't think we could put it on Independence Day tier. Oh
Oh,
God, where'd Oppenheimer go?
hold on.
Oppie.
Yeah, I mean, I also don't like him being called Oppie.
No, that
Like,
is a stupid nickname.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
He sits firmly in A tier.
Okay. Here comes a good one.
Okay, Alien. You are
Alien.
going to have a hard time talking me out of this being an S tier film.
I'm not even gonna try,
Yeah,
dude.
so
Yeah.
this is what introduced us to so many amazing like special effects ideas. This was one of, I still think it's one of the best horror films. I don't think any film in the Alien series comes anywhere close to like the ideas and like the primal fear that this one represented. Like it's so good. It's an amazing science fiction world that was so masterfully created with like rooms and imagery and machines and things that are still iconic and people still go, that's crazy. Uh like I just it has such an amazing atmosphere to it and is so fun and it has the best action hero that might exist at all of Ellen Ripley.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. Music, sound, visuals, KY Jelly,
Yes, our
great
friend
female acting. Yeah, I mean, so many
HR
things
Geiger,
that
like yeah.
HR Geiger, yeah. So many things that come up over and over and over in later reviews come back to things that happen in Titanic and things that happen in Alien. Um, and yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, no, it's that good. It really is. Like there's almost nothing wrong with this movie. The one thing I think that is wrong with this movie is the other female character is a dumb blonde, and that's it. But
Yeah.
other than that,
Yeah.
yeah. And I didn't we discuss during the review that they thought or that some of her scenes had been cut, so maybe she would have seemed a little more full in the longer version.
Yeah, there were a number of scenes that were cut. So maybe one day as Ridley Scott continues to go insane, he will just like remake this like George Lucas did with Star Wars and just add lots more stuff to maybe not make it as good, but we'll see.
Oh God, Garrett, that's terrible idea. That's terrible. Do not wish that upon
I'm
us.
not wishing it. I'm saying he might do it. He might do it to us. Okay.
Okay, so we've got two S tier films. Here comes The Fifth Element.
Okay.
We were in a
Okay.
space kick for a while
We
that over the summer.
we were doing some sci-fi.
It is our favorite genre, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, so in a very similar way, this has a very like defined and interesting like science fiction setting that Luc
Mm-hmm.
Besson was working on for years trying to get this made. It has, a great cast. Gary Oldman slips into his role phenomenally. Bruce Willis is the action hero. Um, and we come across again our manic pixie dream girl, which is
Yeah.
very, very weird because they're kind of like not really a person yet.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I would say that. So I love The Fifth Element. It's one of the foundational films to, me and what I, hope for the future for sure. It's so 90s. It's so like the world is so complex and the breadth is incredible and it has amazing music, it has amazing acting, the clothes, I mean, There are so many things about it that I really like, but I do remember watching it this time and being like, oh, there's a lot of stuff that falls a little flat, that feels a little weird, that is just a little off. Um,
Yeah,
and yeah, so it is definitely not S tier for me. Sadly, I mean, I think if you were to ask me, like just like colloquially, like a year or two ago, if I would have put this in an S tier, I would have said for sure, absolutely. But now, since, we are critically reviewing movies, it's just not quite there for me. And I'm not even sure if it's A tier. I don't
I
know.
I don't think it's A tier. I don't
Yeah,
think it has that like because so it I don't think it says a whole lot,
it doesn't.
which I think is really what could propel it up or down a tier. Is
Yeah.
even though it's in this like sci-fi dystopian world, it it doesn't say anything about it like Blade Runner does.
Hmm.
It's just kind of like we're here, there are big skyscrapers, and if you want, you can call a guy with a boat over to your apartment. Um,
Yeah, and I do think I remember when we watched it, I was actually really disappointed with how short it is. And I do think that that is part of our modern aesthetic as opposed to the 90s aesthetic. And,
right, right.
for had I gone and seen it in the movies, I would have thought it was a perfect length. But I do think that if it had like a half an hour more to like create nuance and like build out this plot and to like give these people a reason to fall in love with each other than they're just hot. Um, yeah.
Well, I think then it fits firmly into B tier,
Okay.
which is now just becoming like our fun like comfort movie tier.
Yeah, and I mean that makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay.
What
Next
what
up, more sci-fi.
do we do Interstellar? We
Yeah,
did.
we did. Surprise Matt Damon.
Surprise Matt Damon, always.
Yeah. Um,
Much
every movie
better,
should have one.
much better used in here than in Oppenheimer.
Yes, but do we like Surprise Matt Damon of Saving Private Ryan better?
Well, that was the original.
Yeah.
Um,
So is every movie that Matt Damon is in, is it trying to surprise Matt Damon better than
well,
Saving
well,
Private Ryan?
well, no, because a lot of like Matt Damon's aren't surprises. Um, I in the first Ocean's
In the
movie
in the
is a good
three movies
surprise.
that we watched, there were surprise Matt Damons.
What was the third Matt Damon surprise?
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer, this, and what's the other one?
Saving Private
Oh
Ryan.
yeah. Sorry, I'm having a dementia episode. Um,
Oh,
so Interstellar.
it's
Part of
about more than Matt Damon. It's about corn.
Yes, it's about corn. Um, this is part of like Matthew McConaughey's renaissance of like him
Right.
him becoming like this amazing dramatic actor. Other films of the time, Dallas Buyers Club, Mud,
Yeah.
his performance in True Detective, amazing, awesome.
Yeah, truly. All
Um,
incredible. All the same guy too in a very strange way, but whatever. We'll go with it.
yeah, I mean, he was cast in this one about being like a middle American guy that like was,
Yeah.
relatable. He wasn't Superman or anything.
Yeah. But he also drives a Lincoln. We do recall that as well.
He drives a Lincoln through corn, and then he knows how to hack drones, and he believes in the moon landing.
Yeah.
Um, I think this is a better like movie than Oppenheimer. It's I think a much more fun adventure. It's very sci-fi. It's very hard sci-fi. Um, we
At
talked a
the
lot
same
about that in the
time,
review.
yeah, but at the same time, like the science and plot of Oppenheimer is way better.
That's true. That's true because it's very it's real.
Yeah, oh, that is also
Yeah.
fair, Garrett.
Um,
But
well,
also, Interstellar does have better female characters
that's
with better
true.
arcs, motivation, dialogue, also acting. Like,
Yeah, Anne Hathaway does a good job. So does
hmm
Jessica Chastain.
hmm
Um, even the child actors in it were pretty good. I think it was one of those first movies that like explored the idea of like another dimensional space in like a way that was like very approachable. Um, it, it
hmm
it it did well with its like high lofty ideas. The music, amazing.
Incredible.
The
Yeah.
miniatures, awesome.
hmm
Um, yeah, that theme like is a part of meme culture. It's that good.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, but at the same time, I remember us talking about, the corn at the end and, you know, yeah.
I don't think this is the high art tier that we've defined S to be. I
No, it's not S tier, I don't think.
I think that Wall in many ways it's like on the same tier as I think it's on the same tier as Oppenheimer. I think these are both
hmm
equally as good films.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do think that there are some Nolan movies that I might be considered to push to S tier if I watch them again and look at them with the same critical eye. But we'll
Like
get there
what?
when we get there. I'm thinking of Inception specifically,
Okay. Okay.
but I do want to rewatch it because I have not watched Inception for probably 10 years.
See, yeah, I haven't seen that one in a long time. I think if I actually understood and could hear anything that was going on in Tenet, it would be a better movie.
I agree. Yes, yeah.
I could
Subtitles, man,
I
they might
could
help.
yeah, I could not hear a good 80% of that one. Um,
Yeah.
but I think we're good with Interstellar being a solid A tier film and
Okay.
should probably keep going. I no longer have the nice little timer because we're not doing this in presenter mode, so I have no
Oh,
idea how long we're taking.
uh-oh. Okay. Okay. Well,
Okay.
next is Silence of the Lambs.
Okay. I think this one's going to be really easy for both of us.
What are you thinking?
I think this is a solid S tier film. we
Okay.
we we have a phenomenal female lead, a great
Mm-hmm.
performance by Anthony Hopkins, like
Mm-hmm.
groundbreaking in many ways. We have an excellent mystery that gets solved. Um, we have some scary scenes. We have discussions about like humanity and and who you are on the outside isn't always who you are on the inside, and dealing with like those difficult traumas. Um, we
Yeah.
just have a good, entertaining film here.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing that I would take it out of is that the representation and discussion of trans people, not not the best. And I do, looking back, I wish we could have, when we discussed it, kind of like talked about that even more in a more nuanced way, but I don't think that either of us are quite equipped to discuss that. Um, so yeah, that's the one thing there. And I think yeah, yeah, make it S tier. Who
Okay,
directed this one?
I don't remember.
Okay.
It's not on the poster.
Ah, well, bad poster. So
I
next,
I like the moth.
the moth is great. This is a great poster.
Yeah,
It is a great poster, but posters should have information on them too.
I tried to get the more iconic posters.
You did a great job with the posters, Garrett.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have another fun romp of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, so despite everything that Wizards of the Coast have been doing this past year to shoot themselves in the foot, including, using AI art, treating their artists and people like shit, and then laying off 2,000 people or a week before Christmas. Like, good on them.
Holly. Yeah, great.
Or maybe it was 1,000. Still, a crap load of people right before Christmas, including one of the main game designers on Dungeons and Dragons. Despite the fact that this has probably been the best year for this game since people heard about it on Stranger Things. In terms of its cultural impact. This is a fun movie. There's not much more to elevate it. This is just a fun action adventure, very kind of like classic 80s movie of, a group of people going up against something bigger than themselves. There's some twists, there's some mystery, there's some there's some, magical fantasy effects and stuff, but it's nothing groundbreaking. It's not much of what we haven't seen before in our, fantasy media.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a good movie.
It's
Fun.
fun. Yeah.
We giving it a solid B?
I would say it fits definitely in a solid B. Maybe C on reevaluation if it doesn't hold up to like a rewatch or something else comes and taints Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible, but I'm thinking solid B because of the paladin, honestly.
Okay.
Like,
He
yeah.
he did elevate that part of the movie, especially because I think they forgot the druid existed for that part. So,
Yeah, yeah, there were some holes, but
there were some holes, but shut your brain off and enjoy this one. Like,
hmm.
okay.
So next we have the oh, it was in the Oscars last year, right?
Yes, yeah,
Oh,
this was up for some awards, and I think won best adapted screenplay, I want to say.
okay.
I'm just giving Garrett in post production more work to have to like fact check myself.
That's okay, but Women Talking, it was a great film. I really liked it. Is it S tier? I don't know. I mean,
I
it's not an approachable film for like most audiences. Like, even though all of our S tier films have horror elements that take them out of like being able to be watched by some people, um Women Talking is a hard watch. It's a great movie.
Yeah, it is tough. It was tough to watch. It was tough to talk about. It was
Hmm.
tough to like read into what was going on. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would give it an A.
I think that that's very fair and respectable. Like I don't really think it's an S tier because I don't know, it didn't push the envelope. It wasn't that much of a spectacle. It was a much smaller film.
Hmm.
Um, it was still
Yeah, I
good.
I think it was a great film, but it is not going to change the world in a way that Titanic, Alien, and Silence of the Lambs did.
Right, right. It didn't do much in the cinematic landscape, let's say.
Hmm. But it's great. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's really important.
Yes, yes, it's probably one of the more important films to like go and check out of the past few years.
Yeah.
And it's and
Yeah, it's
it's a shorter watch.
yeah. Especially if you're into more artsy films. I'm not saying that it is artsy, but it is slow. It is also if you are somebody who likes plays, it feels more like a play than a cinematic masterpiece.
Hmm.
But they did use a lot of great cinematography elements in order to make it, and effects and stuff like that. And the acting is incredible. But
Yes, even the small children give excellent performances.
so next we have John Carpenter's The
Oh
Thing.
God, this is going to be a discussion.
Yeah, because I think it's a piece of shit. What do you think?
effects alone bump it up one tier from wherever you're putting it.
Oh,
Like,
gross. But see, it just did not use the KY jelly in the same good way that Alien had done.
right, but it was doing just so many crazy things. Kate, the man working on the effects was hospitalized for his efforts on this. Like
Yeah,
he
probably because he ate too much creamed corn.
like this
He
this
was
was
eating the effects, Garrett. He was eating the effects.
this was like a really great transition from like this idea of being, coming from the book, coming from the black and white film to like spawning a new one, and then they tried to redo it. Like, I really like the thing. I think it's fun. I think it's a good mystery. It inspired lots of like content and lots of like video games and all sorts of like cool science fiction ideas. Um, I really like it on just like the conceptual level. Execution, yeah, there were some problems with it, but I really enjoy it. I I th where do you want to put it?
I mean, Garrett, like this, I think this is the worst movie. No, it's not the worst movie we watched, but it's very close. I There were
I I
so many holes. There were
I
so many holes.
I have
Like, oh
my
my
head in
God.
my hands here. This is I'm not putting it any lower than C, Kate. I'm not doing that to the thing. I'm not
Okay.
doing it.
I mean, if you could just explain to me what those people were doing on Antarctica, like that would
Well,
help.
what is
Like,
anybody doing down there? They're doing science stuff. Kate, Kurt
I
Russell's hair.
I can be swayed by Kurt Russell's hair,
Hey,
but like it's a tough sell, Garrett, and I'm gonna just let you put it where you want to put it. But like, oh, I'm just like when I close my eyes, I see the guy with the really long neck and the eyes popping out of his head. Like it's
yes,
just not a good thing.
it's
No, no, that's
awesome.
bad. That's terrible. It's just got awful. And then like setting the place on fire and then ending up in the basement and like being like, "Oh my God, the house on top of us is on fire." Like what the basement that they never went to in the whole film, that surprise is full of aliens. Like, oh my God. Like it's just so bad, Garrett.
It is a fun science fiction film. We've put it in C tier. B tier
Okay.
is the fun films. I've lowered it to where I think it should really be going because you have problems with it.
Well, and also all of those movies have plots that make sense.
This what Kate, there's an alien that can impersonate anything. Like sense goes out the window. Like you're gonna be afraid. You're gonna make stupid decisions. You might have been making stupid decisions the whole time because you were the alien.
Ah, whatever.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's keep going.
Okay. So, next movie up is part of our spooky tober spectacular,
Yeah,
The
the
Ring.
the horror movies. About halfway through this series, we learned that all the horror movies were started with uh,
Yeah,
and we just
yeah.
rolled with it.
Yeah, we did choose only horror movies that started with the, and it produced great results, honestly.
Yeah,
There are a few more that I would have liked to have seen, but we ran out of time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, The Ring,
Hmm.
starring one of my favorites, Naomi Watts. This being one of the first like, remakes of a Japanese horror film that really spawned that genre. Um, Included in a bunch of parodies. This was an influential film at the time, filmed up here in Seattle. Um, had some mystery, had some like I think a pretty good twist to it. This is a good horror movie.
Yeah, I agree. It is a good horror movie, and I really like this movie. It was certainly a foundational horror movie for me. Um, yeah, I really like it. I think it's very artsy. I think that the direction's really good, the vibe is really good. Like it really works for me as a horror movie. I do think that we can bump it down because it is a remake of a international film. Um, but yeah,
I think it's a solid B tier movie.
yeah,
I
me
don't I
too.
don't yeah, I don't think it's anything insanely great.
Hmm.
Um, but it's worth the watch,
Right, and it's better than The Thing.
in some ways.
Hmm. Okay. Our next The movie is The Exorcist.
Okay, this is one that I think we both watched for the first time for this one.
Yeah, I
Or had
definitely
you seen it before?
watched I watched it in its entirety and that version for the first time. I'd
Okay.
definitely seen portions of it before, but not, like sat down and watched it. More of like mom had it on, so I watched it.
Okay. This is definitely an A or an S tier movie.
Yeah.
It does so much for the horror genre. It it did so much for like just being creepy and weird
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
being a good story and having like interesting characters that we're following. Um, I remember, really enjoying the discussion we had on this one.
Mhm.
Just a
So my
crazy production too.
Yeah, so my arguments against it being an S tier movie are one, it's very long. It's overly long and overly slow. And there are definitely like whole portions that I think could have been cut and it would have been a great movie anyway.
I can see that. Yeah. Especially
Two,
like looking at the horror movies that are released today. The
mm-hmm,
amount of like action to the like setup is insane. Like,
yeah,
yeah, you would not people would be bored and be like, "Oh, I thought I was coming to see a horror movie."
mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the second thing is that while the production of it was not, I mean, like, you talk about it being so spectacular, but it also was harmful.
Well, when I said that, I was like, it was a disaster. Like the whole
Yeah.
ordeal. It took forever to get made. Tons of people got hurt. They used that giant refrigerated set. Like they were pushing the envelope for what you were doing for a movie at the time. Um, and the result was really good because of it. But could some of that time and energy be used elsewhere to, I don't know, give some more like have a better pace or a better edit?
Yeah, yeah, I think a better edit for sure. And I think that that's another thing with this movie is that when we talked about it, we noted that there were several different edits out there
Yeah.
already. And I think that that's one of the things that's hard about talking about it. Because like there are iconic scenes in the that aren't even in the one that we watched.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah, so that makes it tough. And I think yeah, I think this is an A tier. I really liked it. I think it's a great movie.
I'll
No.
I'll agree with that. I
Okay.
don't think we can put it higher. I think putting it any lower would be a disservice to
Oh yeah.
what it inspired.
Yeah. So next up we have Garrett's favorite movie, The Shining.
I don't know if it's my favorite movie, but it's definitely up there. Um,
Okay. I thought I asked you what your favorite movie was and you said it was The Shining. So,
Well, I definitely might have said that. That sounds like something I would say.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think if we're looking at Stanley Kubrick alone, nothing he makes is any shorter than S tier. And
That's true, yeah.
yeah, and I
Actually, have you seen Eyes Wide Shut?
no.
Because I would argue that Eyes Wide Shut is not an S tier movie.
Well, it does have Tom Cruise in it, and he is a lunatic short guy. So,
And worse than just having Tom Cruise in it, it has Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, which together
ew.
make for awful movies.
Okay.
I think there are a lot of Tom Cruise movies that are good. And I do think that he is a great actor, especially for the types of movies like Top Gun and Oblivion and The Edge of Tomorrow. All of those movies are great, and he does a great job in those movies. But you put him and Nicole Kidman together, and I just want to vomit.
Okay. Well,
So
I think The Shining is easily one of the best Kubricks that
yeah.
I've seen, and I've seen most of them.
Hmm.
Um, it just has such a mythology behind it, and it has just such a like fear, and it does an amazing job at capturing that cabin fever, like and setting up like this idea of a horror that's now popular online of like the liminal spaces and like
Hmm.
the the just absolutely grueling things he put everyone through to make this chaotic mess of a horror film. I
Right.
I don't think you can make a film like this again. The sequel to The Shining was nowhere near as good. Um, and you're taking a story from Stephen King, one of the better horror writers that exists, and you're making it better. And you, you just have the amazing once in a lifetime performance of Jack Nicholson just going crazy. You know, even Danny Lloyd, the kid, did an amazing job. How on earth they got that out of a child, I don't know. Like it was lightning in a bottle in so many ways.
Yeah, it was great. And I mean, do we need to talk about the red bathroom again? Because we can.
Well, the bathroom was green.
No, the red bathroom, Garrett. I
Oh,
talked
the
about
red
the red
bathroom.
bathroom for
I
like 20
right,
minutes.
right. I was thinking of the bathtub lady, which is green, not the men's room that looks like something out of 2001.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a weird bathroom.
it was good.
So for good bathrooms alone, S tier.
S tier bathrooms.
Okay.
Okay. So then we come to our War on Christmas.
Oh, we're there already. Okay.
We are there already. Spookytober went quickly into our War on Christmas.
Yes.
And we have surprise Matt Damon again with Saving Private Ryan.
Yes. The first half hour, or the first more so like 45
Ah,
minutes, D-Day,
yeah.
incredible.
D-Day. Incredible.
Without a doubt, one of the best scenes of history ever put to film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Incredible. Moving. Horrifying. Well done. Tasteful. Somehow.
Yes, somehow, even though people are bleeding and dying out and explosions and all that, it is tasteful.
Mm-hmm. Carrying around their limbs that are fallen off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a tough balancing act
Mm-hmm.
to be able to have something that is gruesome and not just like over the top and like horrific without like still having this like nuance of like we talked to real people about what this was about and we
Mm-hmm.
turned the dial down to be true to them and their stories. um a weird plot framing device, we talked about that a lot. It's
Mm-hmm.
something that happened later, blah blah blah, like all right, weird decisions by the people in the military, weird plot choices to get more action scenes. Um, really great performances by Tom Hanks, Tom Sizemore, Matt Damon, Vin Diesel, uh, Paul Giamatti, he was in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, an all around very good film.
Yeah, very good film.
I I don't know if it belongs in S tier.
I don't know either. And I think that my main reason for not putting it in S tier is because of the glorification and heroism that it creates around this war. In ways that other wars that are war movies that we watch during the war on Christmas don't do.
Right. Yeah, despite I think this was the war movie that we saw that was like, you know, they wanted to show there were no heroes in war. They still made out Tom Hanks and Matt Damon in this company of having like heroic goals and like
Mm-hmm.
a certain agency about them and trying to make them like trying to elevate them. Um
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, in many ways I don't think this has the same effect that like uh All Quiet on the Western Front has of like being
Mm-hmm.
truly an anti-war film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not an anti-war film. It really isn't. And yeah, yeah. And also they filmed that scene that was supposed to be in the Midwest in Ireland.
Yeah,
So like,
you could come on, Spielberg. You couldn't have driven out
to Iowa.
yeah, to literally anywhere and just filmed a normal farmhouse and a cornfield. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
For that display of hatred towards the Midwest and disrespect, we put you firmly in A tier.
It's a good movie though. And it's what inspired the war on Christmas. So, you know.
Oh, what was after this? Was it oh, this was Jeremy Renner, right?
Yep.
This was The
Yep.
Hurt Locker.
The Hurt Locker.
Yes, where I came out defiantly right out of the gate and said our involvement in the Iraq war was bad.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so subject matter wise, this was bad. But it was a good it had good parts. Um I like looking back on it in the like eyes of like, oh, if I was the Oscar people, I'd be like, yeah, yeah, that was a good movie. Yeah. Mhm. But like when I was watching it, and I remember distinctly texting people, including probably you, while I was
Yes.
watching it and going like, I don't like it, and then being like, oh, now I've decided I'm just going to pretend it's a horror movie. So, okay. That makes it better. And like, yeah, so it's not my favorite. It's
Yeah,
certainly not my favorite of the War on Christmas movies.
this definitely has some pacing issues, some tone
Mm-hmm.
issues.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, we called into question a lot of like the practices that were going on of like,
Mm-hmm.
is Jeremy Renner really doing this? Is this allowed? Um, at the time, probably quite a bit more impactful than it was to watch now, which I think is a
Mm-hmm.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
I think, especially after going back and watching the original All Quiet on the Western Front, you can make a timeless anti-war movie. You can make a
Mm-hmm.
timeless movie about a conflict. We're going to talk about that when we talk about Lawrence of Arabia. Like
Mm-hmm.
this one, it didn't hold up, was disturbing far too much, had a few too many liberties of like making Jeremy Renner's character like a not a hero, but like of almost like a vigilante
Mm-hmm.
of like this thrill seeking junkie. It was such a different perspective, but I don't think they really realized how much it or displayed how much it really and truly should have affected everyone there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, sure he got one of his, squad group, like one of them got shot, and the other one was like, yeah, I want to go back and have a family in life, but it's like there wasn't like the you are a danger to everyone around you. We can't let you back here, and then that could have easily spiraled into a completely different end of the story, which was just he's back out there putting more people in danger again. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah. So where do we rank it?
I think this is a B or C. I think C simply because I don't think this is one that I would encourage people to go and see again, and it's not one I'm going to watch again.
Yeah, yeah. I was even thinking lower, but I mean, I don't know. It does have some good parts, like yeah, the juice box scene and like, eh.
I mean,
It's tough subject matter because like it yeah.
I think D tier is a fine place for it. It has some merits, but it comes at the cost of like being overwhelmingly uncomfortable to watch and
Mm-hmm.
being just like a bit gratuitous in that aspect of just like
Mm-hmm.
not letting up. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm cool with D tier.
okay.
It's great to put an Oscar winning Best Picture film in D tier.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. It does feel good to have that.
Hey, let's do it again.
Okay. With Braveheart.
I mean, it was Best Picture, right?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you've listened to our review of Braveheart, you know my feelings about it. And so I'm going to, while Garrett looks up if it won Best Picture or not, I'm going to describe the reason why I think it shouldn't be an F tier and only in D tier.
Yes, it
And
did
that,
win Best Picture, but there were
great.
no acting nominations, which was one of the less than a dozen times that's ever happened.
I mean, it would be humorous if D tier turns into like the Oscar winning tier, but um so the reason why I don't think it's F is because while it's totally based in a fantasy world that didn't exist, it did, while I was watching it, especially in that first hour, like I felt real feelings of compassion and understanding and like annoyed at the situation. And some of the shots were great, and the music was good but sometimes overwhelming, sometimes too much, but that was the 90s. It was the 90s.
There are parts of this movie to be invested in.
Yeah.
It's very approachable in that way. Uh, it's not all
No.
in any way. Many of those aspects are independent of themselves.
Yeah,
Um,
someone should definitely cut an hour out of this movie.
yes, I don't want to see the cut that Mel Gibson wants to make, where it's an extra half an hour longer. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
no, thank you.
I
Yeah.
think this movie has probably some of the worst like pacing and structure and just like fluff out of any of the movies we watched this year.
Yeah. Yeah, solid D. D.
The
D.
Sorry, Mel.
No, don't apologize to him.
Okay, sorry everybody else who worked on Braveheart.
Oh God, I don't even think you can apologize to them. Like they
They
were
knew
cool
what they
with
were
it.
doing.
Yeah, listen, they knew that the Battle of Stirling Bridge was called the Battle of Stirling Bridge, and they went along with Mel Gibson's plan anyway.
Yeah, to not have a bridge. Okay.
Yeah.
So 1917.
A
Uh,
movie that does not suck. A movie that is not a D movie.
no. Um,
It's good.
it's very good. Yeah.
It has innovation.
Yeah, the artistic merit of having it all look like it was in one take, having the very limited cast, having
Mm-hmm.
just very memorable sets and locations, and like
Mm-hmm.
the characters' actions feeling like they had weight in the world, and how like it wasn't just an CGI mess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which they totally could have done at this
Hmm.
point in time.
Yeah. Yeah. It had surprise Benedict Cumberbatch, which is fun.
That's true. That's true. It did. Um,
A?
I'm shrugging. Like it's good, but I don't think it's as good as the other films we put in A tier.
Okay. Okay, that's a choice.
I think it's not incredibly memorable. Like that, like there are some scenes of it that, you know, I can think of, but like the thing as a whole, it was just kind of the adventure movie that we've been relegating to B tier. Like it certainly wasn't lighthearted. It was horrifying in many ways, but it did not have as much to say about World War One as the next film we'll talk about.
That's true. It did not have as much to say about the war, but it did still have a lot to say about the war. It had a lot to say about war in general. It had a lot to say about brotherhood and the descent into madness that goes along with war. Um, the only reason I would put it in A tier over B is because of the innovation of the single cut. But I understand if you want to put it in B because it is not quite as good as All Quiet on the Western Front.
My big argument against that artistic choice is simply that it it wasn't a true done in a certain number of takes. Like
No, but
like
I
it
mean,
was cut together. That was an amazing stylistic choice. It did help you get immersed, but I think that kind of like it oversells itself.
okay. Okay. I mean, I understand. I just thought it was very well done in that way. Like I the artistic person in me was like, yes, this was cool. And also I saw it on a plane when I was probably pretty sleep deprived, so maybe I think it's better than it was.
Well, I do think on the small screen it would be a much different experience than on the big screen.
I thought it was more immersive that way. But I mean, like,
Yeah,
also the screen was 2 feet away from my head, so like it was right there. It was big
oh,
enough.
okay, okay, yeah, that's true.
It's not like it was I was on a tour bus.
Oh, okay, right. But you know, I think, and even compared to Saving Private Ryan, I think this one's just a little bit not as there. It's less of a spectacle.
Okay. So, was I able to, can I make them bigger at the same time? I can.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
it's one image.
Oh, okay. Good job, Garrett.
I grouped them both together because I found an image like that. Um,
Yes.
I
So,
think
All Quiet on the Western Front is the next movie we watched.
yeah, I think that having seen both of these, I think they are very comparable in size and scope and how we're going to lump them together. And because you didn't see the old one, I didn't want to go, you know, on a rampage of putting it wherever.
So, okay. So, do you think that one of them is better than the other?
Um, I would not say to the point where they would be in different tiers.
Okay.
I think there are a lot of things that the 1930s version did that were like good for the time,
Mm-hmm.
but the effects and the battles and things like that were less well done. I also think it had pacing issues. Um, I think the acting in it wasn't as powerful. Um, but the message and how it conveys that and the characters, despite how good those are in the new version, were even better in the original.
Hmm. Okay.
And because it's a very similar remake, it's of this. They're both based on the same book. They have the same characters. I think it's fair to combine them as one grouping of
Mm-hmm.
of what this film means and how it's displayed and shown to people generations apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed All Quiet on the Western Front. I think it was, I mean, I loved the book in high school though. So like we're putting a premise that I already really loved and that was a masterpiece of literature into a masterpiece of cinema. Um and I found it to be incredibly moving. The only thing I didn't like about the new one was the music. Um,
A bit grating after a while.
yeah. Like that scene with the tanks, like that, I mean, that was terrible. Like, yeah. I mean, it's there's so many scenes in that movie that are just like they stick in your mind as just being like just truly horrifying, and it gets the message across of the pointlessness of war, and also the oh, the propaganda,
Mm-hmm.
the enemy is, your enemy, and yeah.
Yeah, I'd have a hard time putting this, anything less than A tier. Whether or not
Mhm.
it's S tier, I don't know. Um,
I don't
it,
think I could put it in S tier,
okay.
but because it doesn't have that special something.
Yeah,
Um
that's a good way of putting it. It doesn't have that special something.
yeah, because while it is great, so if we look at it on the scale of Titanic, like they do hit all the marks with historical accuracy, with being true to the book, all those things, like, yeah, yeah, it could have just had, it could have had something more. And I don't know if any adaptation of All Quiet could be S tier. Because I think these are excellent. I just think that the story itself needed something more.
Right.
Um, yeah. And there was no way to get more artistic with it, I don't think.
Not
Just
really, no.
because of the way that it is. Yeah.
Well, I'm content with this being a solid A tier.
Okay. And we come to the last movie of the year, our Christmas tradition of watching Young Frankenstein.
Fantastic.
Yeah. What a movie. What a parody. What a good time, guy. The
Uh,
monster.
yeah,
I was talking about the monster.
yeah.
Yes.
I I struggle with this one because it definitely holds a special place in our like heart and mind. Um, and we had a really great conversation about like what comedy was anymore or what like parody was or like good comedy films and like things like that. But like is this good cinema, you know?
I think it is, Garrett. I really do.
It's creative, it's fun. In many ways it was artistic, the decision
Hmm.
to have it be in black and white, the decision to bring back and recreate those props. Um,
Yeah, it has jokes that still make me laugh. Like if there is ever to be an S tier comedy.
ooh, ooh, that's something. Because
Yeah,
like I think an S tier comedy is different than just like an S tier movie.
right, yeah. But like I can't think of another comedy that I would put up there. I think Galaxy Quest is great, and it certainly still makes me laugh. But, has it aged well? I don't know because I haven't watched it in a few years. I gotta imagine that there are some issues with it. Um, and that's the thing. That's the thing, Garrett,
Yeah,
is that every comedy that you can think of There are
Yeah,
issues with it because of racism, because of misogyny, because of bad jokes that just are not funny anymore.
right.
That is not a problem for Young Frankenstein.
That's pretty true. Yeah, I will agree with you there. Um yeah, this isn't like Revenge of the Nerds where the joke
No,
was sexual assault or the
Animal
comedies of
House.
the yeah where the joke was sexual assault or the comedies of the early 2000s where the joke was tits like
And sexual assault.
and sexual assault. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean like there is a joke about sexual assault in this movie. However, it is Igor sexually assaulting a mink stole rather than a woman. So, you know,
Yeah, the performances, every line in the script being, something to hold on to. Like this is a very good movie.
yeah. And I mean, it's so artistic. Like I think it has this special something, Garrett. I really do. Like I like Frau Blucher. Like
I've got
like
to edit in the nay sound again. I have to get
yes, you
that from the
do.
sound library again.
Yes, you do. Like it, and it's worth it. It really is. And I mean, like Garrett, this is the Binkhorst and Blockbusters tier list. This is S tier for us.
Yeah, you know, uh going through and looking at like what we have in S tier, I think all of these movies are very like important to who we are of like the movies and media that we not only grew up with but like our parents showed us and like supported our interest in or whatever. Um, we have Titanic, which is great for us history nerds. We have Alien, which is an excellent sci-fi. Uh, uh, Silence of the Lambs, because our mom is super into that true crime stuff to like an actually kind of almost scary degree. So if any of us go missing, I think we know where to start.
Well,
Um,
and the other thing there is that she encouraged both of us to read that book.
yeah, that is true. I remember getting that on my Kindle.
Yeah. The Shining, I mean, Kubrick being like, so looking in my life, like foundational, like movies, Kubrick is huge.
100%. Like, eventually, one day we'll talk about 2001 and
Hmm.
what that means to like, you know,
Everything.
yeah, to space, to sci-fi,
To bathroom design.
to bathroom design. Yes, A Clockwork Orange,
Ah, incredible. Also,
amazing.
bathroom design.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing use of music, amazing like use of costumes and like character and set design and a terrifying message. Um,
Hmm.
the first half of Full Metal Jacket, not to
Yeah,
say the second half isn't good, but that first half is always what I remember watching. Like,
yeah, the descent into madness in the second half is a descent.
um, I
Yeah.
don't think I've seen Barry Lyndon or Eyes Wide Shut, which were his, I think, early and then final movie.
Yeah, and I have opinions on both, but we'll review them someday.
Yeah. And having Young Frankenstein, the only like really true, well, okay, there are a couple other there are several comedies here, but like one that is like unapologetically a comedy and a parody and like a love letter to like old cinema and
Hmm.
with such talent and just fun behind it. I don't
Yeah.
think you're gonna find another movie as fun as Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, that is absolutely true.
Well, I don't think we have a lot more to add. I think we've done an excellent job critically looking at the 23 movies that we've talked about this year.
Wow.
Um, yeah, we've really done a lot with this project. It's been an excellent bonding experience. It's been nice to get feedback from people who like it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, I've really enjoyed watching these movies with you and, talking about them, and you've brought a lot of great information and facts that I just never would have known. I think that my favorite episode will probably always be Titanic because I think that we really delved into some great deep topics there and, approached some discussion that, as somebody who's seen that movie a billion times had not just I hadn't thought about yet. So, what was your favorite movie that or favorite podcast that we did?
oh, that's a tough one. Ooh, I well, this is the exact opposite of yours. I think it was Braveheart because of how much we just ragged on it the whole time, of how we destroyed it with facts and logic. Um, because I think that that's really what movie like discussion and criticism should be about, is about like taking a look at something, talking about what worked, what didn't work, why it worked, why it didn't, going and seeing how it is outside of just what's on the screen, learning about the history of it, who was behind it, who made it, why they made it, how they did all the things that they did. Um, Definitely Titanic was great because I never seen it before and I was working on all the like parody and ideas and like cultural osmosis I got from it, and to sit down and go, I understand this. I understand why everybody was so obsessed with it. Why this is something and like a story that people fall in love with. Um, and I see that about a lot of the movies we've talked about because we're able to like view them and do a little bit of research and like have a nice conversation around them, which is I think really what can elevate movies. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Especially like the movies at the bottom of the list, like the conversation we had around several of them were just like our conflicts either with them or with each other's enjoyment of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that one of the things that streaming and the pandemic and not going and seeing the movies in the theater has done is it has kind of removed the critical conversation about film away from like everyday conversation. And I
Right.
think that that's one of the great things that happened this year with the Barbie Oppenheimer situation is you had lots of people going and seeing a movie and then coming back and talking to their friends about it.
Yeah.
And I hope that that's something that we can do more of in the future. I know that, from people going and seeing Napoleon and telling me their feelings about it, that's definitely one of the reasons why we have not reviewed Napoleon, despite it being the primary motivation for our War on Christmas segment.
Yeah,
So,
despite having a segment in one of the early episodes where we talked about the trailer and you said it gave you chills.
yeah, yeah, the trailer still gives me chills, but it also is horrifying what people have said about this movie. However, I have been, told that there are lots of hats and that's something I like. So, I just want it to come out on streaming so I don't have to go pay, $35 to go sit in a room with other people and need to pee and not be able to.
Yeah.
So, you know um yeah, yeah, but I also I love the discourse about movies, and I look forward to the next year of movies and the things that we have planned, and of course the movie that we talk about continuously and bring up in most episodes of the podcast, and that of course is Dune.
I am so excited for Dune 2.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm starting to get scared because I am so excited that I'm beginning to worry that it's not actually going to be as good as we want it to be. But, that's the fun of going to the movies, and it's not like it's going to be the first Dune movie I didn't like.
yeah, I think it was on Christmas or maybe the day after. I just got hammered and was looking for something to watch, and I was like, I have time to watch Dune.
Oh
Um,
no.
it's the new Christmas movie. Um,
Oh, wait, the new one or the old one?
the new
Like,
one.
okay, good, good.
No,
Because if I was gonna get hammered and watch a movie, it might be 1984 Dune, and I would just be like violently yelling at my television
that that
through the
that might
entirety.
that might be how we have to do the the review of that one. Um, but I've heard that they're working on a script, or the script has been written for the third Dune, which would be Dune Messiah. Um, Look, like I'm all for it. Let's get weird with it. Let's keep going with these like classic science fiction movies that like are hard to adapt and have fun with them. Yeah, I'm really excited for what we have cooking for the next year.
Hmm.
And I hope everybody else continues to be excited and engages with the content in a fun way. Want to thank our parents for watching some or most of the episodes, and all the other people in our lives that have been doing that. We really appreciate it. And for any strangers that have come in and just decided to listen to our brother and sister yap about movies they do and do not like.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody, and we will see you on the next one.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.